They say that 13% of family businesses make it to the third generation. We don't know if that number is accurate or not, but we do know that when they fail, 85% of the time, it isn't the market and it isn't the balance sheet. It's the family. And so that's not a business problem. That's really a governance problem. Most family enterprise boards, which is what we're here to talk about today, do exactly what they were designed to do. The problem is they were often designed to do the wrong job. A compliance board, which is a board that's really focused on governance in the most direct sense, asks one question: are we meeting our fiduciary obligations? A stewardship board, in contrast, asks a bigger one: are we building something that will still be worth owning in 50 years? Are we building something that can become a thriving, multi-generational family enterprise? I've had the privilege to sit on both kinds of boards. And let me tell you, the families that last across generations don't just run good businesses. They build governance that holds the family's purpose, handles succession before it's an emergency, and makes room for the next generation before anyone's talking about it or asking for it. That's the difference between a stewardship board and a compliance board. Let's talk about the design principles one by one. Principle one: purpose before compliance. When we think about a board, the board's first job isn't checking regulatory boxes. As a family business, you're not a public company. You don't have the same requirements as a public company. A family enterprise board is about holding the family's multi-generational purpose at its heart. At Banyan, this is the first question we ask every board we work with. Does this board know your family's owner strategy in writing? And the first part of an owner strategy is, what is the family's purpose for owning this business together? Because if nobody's written that down, what the family actually wants, returns, legacy, employment, identity, well, the board defaults to whatever's easiest to measure. What gets measured gets managed. And quarterly numbers were never the point. Okay, principle number two: succession is permanent work. There's no post-succession resting phase. The next transition begins the day the current one ends. I love that line because it reframes succession from an event that you survive or something that you do heavy planning for, and then you take a step back and rest, into a discipline you practice on an ongoing basis. So you think about selection criteria, you think about development pathways for the next generation, a graceful exit for the incumbent. And it's not just the CEO's seat. It's the head of sales, the head of product, every layer underneath. Succession is a practice. It's not an event. Okay, principle number three: independence is a gift, not a threat. It's remarkable to me, but only about 30% of family businesses in the US have any independent director at all, which means most boards are missing the one thing that protects a family from its own blind spots. The research backs it up. Boards that have roughly a third of their directors are independent outperform both all family boards, but also fully independent ones. And that's an interesting point, because having family on the board also plays purpose. I'm an independent director myself on two different family enterprise boards. And in both cases, I'm considered independent. And the value isn't necessarily my expertise. It's also my absence of baggage. It's my ability to bring a fresh perspective that isn't loaded down by a history of being a family member. That often is the difference between a great independent director and a mediocre family director. And listen, it's no history, it's no drama, just a fresh set of eyes. The best compliment I ever get is a family saying, "We never even thought of that," because that's kind of the point. Of course you didn't. That's what independence is for. Okay, that brings us to principle number four. Governance serves the family. Governance isn't bureaucracy. Governance is simply decision-making. Who has the authority to decide what? When a governance structure stops serving the family's aspirations, the answer isn't to defend it, it's to evolve it. The families we watch struggle are the ones that are treating a 20-year-old bylaw, something that was created by the prior generation to meet the needs of that generation in a specific context. They treat that bylaw like it's scripture, when it isn't. It's just a tool. And so thinking about how governance serves a family means thinking about how the family evolves, and so the governance needs to evolve with it. Okay, principle number five. The board connects all three circles: ownership, family, and business. At Banyan, we call our structure the 4-room model: the owner's room, the board room, the family room, and management. A stewardship board doesn't just sit in one of those rooms, it's the hinge that connects all of them. And think about the role of that fourth room, which is the family. That's the room where a lot of the things that are happening within the family in terms of on a multi-generational basis should be reflected in the board via the owner strategy. And a great independent board has the ability to see that owner strategy as its North Star to help guide the business, guide the management on a day-to-day basis. This is the work we do at BanyanGlobal every day. We help family enterprises build boards that don't just govern performance, but govern continuity. Again, think multi-generational families that thrive. Because the families that endure aren't the ones with the best quarters. They're the ones whose governance was built to last 50 years, not 5. So ask your own board the question we ask every family we work with. If this board were designed to serve your family 30 years from now, instead of just today, how would it look different than it looks right now?